one big crowd, that would be good. Of course, maintain social distance to how you feel comfortable as well. All right, so we're here today because we have felt that there has been a vacancy in this community for voices of color, for black folks. That space has not been carved out in this city, and we are going to make it a space for us now, all right? We are here so that we can be heard. We are here to make it very clear that we're not invisible. We cannot be ignored. We cannot be silenced. We are a strong collective voice here, and we are part of a moment that this city has not experienced in a long time, so thank you all so much. I also want to make it clear that this event's purpose is primarily to elevate black folks' voices and to make a space for black people in this community. This is not about us right now. Even my non-black POC brothers and sisters, we know that this is not a moment for us. We are using our voices to come together to make our black brothers and sisters have a voice and be as elevated as possible during these times when they are ignored and when they are put down just for the color of their skin. I would actually like to start. This was a suggestion from one of the community members out here. Thank you for the idea. Today is Breonna Taylor's birthday. Breonna Taylor was killed by the police. We are going to sing happy birthday to her today. Please join me. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Breonna.
Happy birthday to you. Black lives matter. I can't hear you. Black lives matter. 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 Black lives matter.
Thank you all. Kind of. Okay. So our first speaker today is going to be Angus McQuilkin. He is candidate for Congress in the 6th Congressional District for Massachusetts. He is a co-founder of the Massachusetts Coalition Against Gun Violence. I have worked with him personally, and he is a pretty cool guy. So he's going to be our first speaker here, so please give him a hand.
I want to thank Heidi and her organizing team for putting this together today. You're awesome. Thank you, Heidi. It takes leaders to make a difference and create change, so thank you for your leadership. As Heidi mentioned, my name is Angus McQuilkin. I'm a candidate for Congress in the 6th Congressional District. I'm also, as she mentioned, the co-founder of the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence. Gun violence, today is National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And it's important that we raise awareness about that because it's another societal issue that disproportionately impacts the African American community. And today is also the beginning of Wear Orange Day, right? A 3-day period where people will wear orange to raise awareness about gun violence in our country. But I took my orange shirt off because today we also need to raise awareness about hate. We need to raise awareness about hate against the African American community and hate-motivated violence. And, you know, that's why I got this shirt here, right? Because I think it's important for us to make a clear statement today that Peabody, and I hope you'll say this with me afterwards, that Peabody is no place for hate. Massachusetts is no place for hate.
Massachusetts is no place for hate.
America is no place for hate.
America is no place for hate.
Now, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That's a long time, right? That's a long time to put your knee on somebody's neck while they beg for breath and for their life. Now, we'll all get to feel how long that feels to us when we kneel here, and I'll be going to Topsfield after this, where they're doing an event there as well, where we're going to kneel for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, so we can see exactly how that feels. Now, the vast majority of the police officers I've known throughout my life, including some members of my own family, are honorable and decent people who want to make a positive difference in their community. But when we have, and I know that's true, and I'm certain that's true of the police officers who are here with us today to help make sure that this peaceful rally is safe. But we know this too, when there is a minority of police officers who continuously, time and again, commit violent acts against African Americans that result in their death, we need change.
Yes.
When we have a Justice Department led by an Attorney General hand-selected by our current president, who oversees the Civil Rights Division and repeatedly fails to take action when violent acts are committed against African Americans by police officers and others, we need change.
We need change.
When we have a president who threatens to unleash vicious dogs and ominous weapons on nonviolent protesters, we need change. When we have a president who threatens to unleash the U.S. military that we pay for with our tax dollars on peaceful demonstrators across America, we need change. When we have a president who orders the tear gassing of peaceful protesters and has law enforcement force them out of the way so he can cross the street and have a photo op with a Bible that is not even his in front of a church that he does not attend, we need change.
We need change.
Now, how are we going to get that change? Well, yes, we need to raise our voices. We need to insist on change. We can't take no for an answer. That's why we're here. But in the words of our former President Barack Obama, how do we create change? I heard somebody say it. We vote. We vote. Because we don't just need to change the decisions that are made, we need to change the people that are making the decisions. And we do that with our vote. So if you are not registered to vote, register to vote. And when you vote in our state primary on September 1st, vote for change. When you vote in the presidential election on November 3rd, please, I plead with you, vote for change. That is how we will get the change we need. That is how we will take our country back. That is how we'll take our democracy back. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. And if you want to get involved with my campaign for change, talk to Nico, who's right there, and he'll give you more information. Thank you very, very much.
Bear with us here. All right, up next we are going to have a speaker from our own community come up here. Andrew Santongo, if you will come up here and say your piece.
How's everybody doing tonight? When I say black, you say lives matter. Black? Lives matter! Black? Lives matter! I know everybody's energy is at the right place right now, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to use this platform to pretty much express all the anger and frustrations that some of us might be going through. I wrote a little something. I don't want to go off script, so give me a second. Hello everybody. Last week or so has been a time of pain and revelation. Our country is deeply sad. Our country is deeply sick and has been poisoned by the disease of racism and prejudice. But I believe that through power and our voices continued struggle, it will soon be a time of change. And we can bring to heal, truly heal. Before I begin, I just want to give condolences to George Floyd's family, and it's just a very tragic event that just happened. No man should have just gone through that. And honestly, when I look at it, it brings me back to when I encountered police twice in my lifetime, and it is not a very easy situation to go through. Sure, some people might say he's just gonna go walk by his merry way and ask for my information, but it doesn't really happen like that if you're black. You have this stigma and this fear in the back of your head. It's like, hey, I just hope in the end of the day, I get to go home.
Preach!
That's
Preach,
it.
Papa!
With those incidents that happened to me, I can imagine if there wasn't anybody there around me to support me or maybe to be visible. But it did happen. So with that said, I just wanna say we can solve this issue by just simply strategizing, learning, planning, and lastly, what the gentleman just said is go out and vote, because we have the power to change this. Correct? Yes! When I say black, you say lives matter. Black!
Lives matter!
Black!
Lives matter!
One more time, black!
Lives matter!
Thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for those words. Up next, we have Jamie Zahlawi. She is also a candidate running for Congress for the 6th Congressional District here in Massachusetts. She is the founder of Maternal Mental Health Leadership Alliance and a trustee at Salem State. Please give it up for Jamie Zahlawi.
Shukran. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I want Peabody to take a look at themselves and say, although there were some folks who said this wasn't going to happen, well, clearly the power of the people speak volumes to how we're going to move our society forward. I am your neighbor. I stand here in solidarity as an Arab American, and I'm the founder of the Maternal Mental Health Leadership Alliance. I'm the mother of 2 children. And I stand here in front of you with full breath to speak the names of those who have lost theirs. The 2 names that come to my mind right now are Miss Miriam Carey and Kira Johnson. On the morning of October 3rd, I heard the news that Miriam Carey had been shot dead by the Capitol Hill Police. She was suffering from postpartum psychosis, a severe mental health issue that affects a small percentage of women during the postpartum period. Her mind was telling her that President Obama was trying to hurt her, and she put her 1-year-old in her car and drove from Connecticut to Washington, D.C., and drove through a police barricade at the White House. Again, she had her 1-year-old daughter in her back seat. Miriam was shot 5 times to the back of the head by the Capitol Hill Police. Again, she was suffering from a severe mental illness, and that sort of force was completely unnecessary. On April 12th, my friend Charles Johnson's wife, Kira, gave birth to their 2nd son, Langston. Kira immediately showed signs that her body was in distress. It took 10 hours for Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles to listen to her husband and her black family, to understand that she was bleeding in her catheter. And by the time they decided to listen, because she wasn't a priority, they found out that her bladder had been lacerated during a routine cesarean section. And she bled to death on the operating table and died that night. Black and brown women in America die 3 to 4 times higher rates than white women during delivery and postpartum. What the hell does that mean? We don't care about women as a whole in this country, and we certainly don't care when it comes to anyone who's not white even more. The disparities of how women have been treated with health care during this pandemic, pregnant women, delivering women, and postpartum women. We have had women put into rooms by themselves and not listened to. And the consequence of this for Black and brown women has been exponential. These mothers who lost their lives due to lack of health care, implicit bias, and not being listened to, we need maternal justice for the Black and brown communities, indigenous communities in this country right now. We need justice, maternal justice. As I said before, I am a mother. We are all born from the womb of our mothers. To hear the cries from George Floyd's mouth, calling out for his mother, and to hear the cries from the mouths of Black mothers who have lost their sons and daughters, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Our children matter. The time has come during the bleakest of times for this country to step back and listen to our Black, brown, and indigenous brothers and sisters and mothers. And we must listen when they tell us, white America, what it is that we must do to be their ally. I stand here as a privileged white woman. Thank you for even giving me the opportunity to address this crowd.
Thank you.
I fight daily for how we are going to take care of our mothers and our children and how we are going to model behavior. And this is the time for us to tell them. The time has come. I am here to be an ally. I am listening. I will listen. I will be an ally, and I will act. And it is time to do the hard work. I love this crowd here tonight. I encourage everyone to know that this doesn't have to be a one-time only. During a pandemic, we actually have the power from our homes to force those that create policy to do the right thing and represent everybody in this country, and I will follow every Black leader that's telling me how to do that. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter! 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 Black Lives Matter!
Thank you so much, Jamie, for that. She makes a very good point, and something that I had not even considered to speak about during this, that Black people in our healthcare system are also discriminated against more than any other group. During this pandemic, there have been so many gaps in our system that have been more and more apparent, especially in communities of color, especially in disparaged communities. This is something that it's all part of the same problem. This is all connected. Black Lives Matter, whether it comes to when they encounter the police or when they are just sick and trying to get better. That is something that should be afforded to all of us as human beings, as citizens of this country. All right, up next I'd like to have another couple of community speakers coming up, so if I could have Gigi Rodriguez and Ryan Machado come up here and come speak with me for a moment. So right now this is Gigi Rodriguez, and she's going to say a few words.
Gigi.
I have a terrible memory, sorry. I don't really know where or how to start. I'm not good at public speaking. I'm definitely not good at getting the point across.
We hear you.
As a child growing up, sorry.
Take your time.
a child growing up as a person of color, I faced many hurtful situations, between being bullied in elementary school to hating myself for the color of my skin and being treated unfairly with the system of the law. It's been hard and it'll continue to be hard for many children out there if we don't make a change. The system is broken and the inequality is real. Many people think this is just for George Floyd. This is for Breonna Taylor, who was shot in her own home, and she would have been 27 if she was still alive today. May she rest in power. This is for Ahmaud Arbery, who was murdered for doing the simple act of going for a run. This is for all lives lost, with no justice served. This isn't a war between white against black. This is everyone against racism, against oppression, and against discrimination. This is about making a change happen. George Floyd's daughter said, "Daddy changed the world," and she's right. Now I heard this in a video. This man said, "Peace does not come peacefully." Now don't take this out of context. Look at the LGBTQ community. They achieved their rights through the riot of Stonewall back in 1969. Women gained their rights by rioting throughout the mid-1800s. It is our turn to have our voice heard. We've tried so many times to be calm and to be peaceful and to reason. I'm not saying go and destroy your cities. I'm not saying go and be destructive. But I'm saying be loud, because our voice needs to be heard. We need for everyone to know that Black lives matter. That not all lives will matter till Black lives matter. Our ancestors built this country for free, for the Europeans and the colonizers to live without appreciating what they had. What we've done through our culture, through our families, music, food, everything that we have brought. We deserve to live here without having to fight for our rights. And ending this on a loving note, I want to give a huge thank you to all my white allies out there, because our voices would not be as loud as they are today without you. You are a big part of this, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Podium. I know that it's hard, but you killed it. So thank you. Thank you. All right, up next I'll have Ryan Masato, who's also a local community member, and he'd like to say some words as well.
Yeah, Ryan. Let's go, Masato.
Yo, what up? Hey everyone, appreciate you being here. Let me get this mask off. I remember being taught this country's history in school. All its glory, all its bravery. Standing up against what was wrong with it at times. Every battle, every action, all in the name of freedom. But once that war was over and the fight had been won, everyone had freedom, except for black women and black men. They were still slaves to this country, even though everyone else had those freedoms. It took almost another 100 years before the fight for freedom of color to be considered free and have been won. Why? Even then, their freedoms were not the same. Black men and women couldn't vote, and when they could, they were considered 3/5 of a person. Why? And when black communities finally grow and they thrive, white America doesn't like that. And then you get Black Wall Street destroyed. Why?
Why?
Tulsi race war. Why?
Why?
I am sick of all this stuff. We got segregation, white-only stores, bathrooms, water fountains, and if a bus is full of black men or women and take up the front seat, then they're forced to go to the back for the white person. Why?
Why?
The leaders, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, all fought and sacrificed their lives in the names of getting equality year, of peaceful protesting across America, get the Civil Rights Act signed into law. Both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X paid the ultimate price and were murdered for this. Why?
Why?
Years continue to pass, and it's 2020. We still have this fight of racism still alive in this country. Innocent black men and women being judged and mistreated, all because of their skin. I will not stand or sit for this, or allow or tolerate its existence anymore. As long as I breathe on this earth, I will not stay silent. I will speak up and make my voice heard until my brothers and sisters in this country are finally heard.
Thank you all. Up next, I have here Malika McDonald. She is a community organizer in Boston and Lynn, and she's also a member of her chair. ICNA Relief Fund here in the Massachusetts chapter. She runs a big part of it, and she does a lot of good work out here. So here's Malika.
May the peace and blessings of God be upon you. Ask them to come forward. I want to introduce my grandchildren. Now, I'm a storyteller, and I'm going to tell you a story of their father, who is now 36 years old, and I believe it is a miracle that he is alive today, living as a black man in America. For him to reach the age of 18 was a celebration.
Why?
I want you to imagine. Can you hear me? Because I know I'm loud.
Okay.
Okay, I don't need to take my voice. I follow a philosophy called Ubuntu. Does anyone know Ubuntu?
I am because you are.
I am because we are.
We are.
We each are responsible for one another and our black and brown brothers and sisters here in America and abroad. I too, as some of the speakers before me, am a privileged white woman. I was born here in America. I'm actually Irish American. But my privilege was stripped when I decided to put this scarf on my head. I want to tell a story as a mother of a black child here in America. Again, as I said, my son is 36 years old. I want all the mothers in the crowd, please, close your eyes and imagine with me. Imagine being in your kitchen, in your own home, in your kitchen, cooking dinner for your children. And your daughter comes running into the room crying, "Mommy, Mommy, they have him, they have him." I couldn't imagine what she was talking about. Has who? What? "Mom, please, come outside." I ran to my balcony, and I saw their father in the middle of the street, in front of his own home, on his knees, pleading with about 20 police officers who had surrounded him in the middle of the street with their guns drawn. All I could do was scream, please don't move, please don't move, as I ran down my stairs to get between him and the officers. Imagine if this was your child. Another time, in New York City, I picked my son up from the bus station in Chinatown. We were driving back to Queens. I got pulled over by the police and couldn't imagine why. I hadn't run a red light, my car was fine. As we pulled over, the police ran and pulled my son out of the passenger seat because he was a black man and I was a white Muslim woman and they thought I had been carjacked. This is racism in America. I want my children and my grandchildren to live in a different world. As I said, Ubuntu, I am because we are. All those that are people are not of color. We have a responsibility, but change starts within our own homes, within our own families. We need to stand up not just here tonight, but in the workplace, in our homes, in local government. Call out racism wherever you see it. And as an ally, I want to end by, and I want you to say it with me, let them lead.
Let them lead.
Let them lead.
Let them lead.
We are here to support and to listen, and listen with open hearts.
All right. Up next, I'm going to ask for Sasha Ramos to come up here if she is here. She is going to be our next community speaker, and Cynthia Aroth, who is also going to be a speaker, is going to be on her way, so she'll be here soon. But Sasha, where are you?
Sasha, we love you.
So I know a lot of you, and there's a lot of you that I don't know. So for everyone here, thank you for coming out. So the past week, like many, I've experienced so many different emotions regarding the murder of George Floyd and the tensions that have arisen. So I did what my therapist would tell me to do. I wrote. So I'm going to share with you guys what I wrote. I've been a Peabody resident for more than half my life. Went through Peabody High School, graduated, had some of the best teachers that made me feel like I could conquer the world. Mr. Raponi, who told me that I could be president, and that's so true. Ms. Thompson, Mr. Paz, a lot of them. But I'm Afro-Latina, which means that although my parents or my family came from the Dominican Republic, our lineage can be traced back to Africa. And if you couldn't tell, I am terrified of public speaking. Like, I'm kind of shaking right now. But I'm much more terrified of my family, of myself, being harmed or judged because of the color of my skin. That's my daily reality. But it's also the daily reality of those of the Black community. People are scared to go to the park, sleep in their homes, go for a jog, go bird watching, go to the grocery store, scared to live. This is the daily reality of those within the black community. As a person of color, as a human being, I'm angry. The nation is angry. And we need to stay angry. We need to be angry about the senseless killings of our brothers and sisters. We need to be angry about the systemic oppression that has plagued the minority community since the country's inception. And we need to face the reality that maybe not within our community, because I think that Peabody and Salem have some of the great police officers that I've gotten the pleasure of meeting. But we do need to face the reality that police somehow manage to de-escalate, disarm, and not kill white people every day. We are hurt, we're tired, and we're angry. We need to utilize these emotions and demand justice, demand change, demand accountability. We owe it to George Floyd. We owe it to Ahmaud Arbery. We owe it to Breonna Taylor, who, as we mentioned earlier, would have been 27 years old today. We owe it to Eric Gardner, Sandra Bland, Mike Brown, Orlando Castillo, and the countless others that have lost their lives senselessly. We owe it to our children, who are the future of this country. Again, as an outraged person of color, I understand how things can escalate. I really do, I get it, I can understand it. But, I implore you, actually.
Got it.
You got it. It's all escalated, but we need to try to come together as one. Try to remember, it's not black versus white. It's not civilian versus police. It's not us versus them. It's everyone against racism. As one, the law enforcement personnel that have denounced racism, that made it known that those are not the ideals of other men and women in blue, and have walked among the demonstrators in unity. I applaud them. You are the good guys. We see you. But to be silent is to be complicit. So speak up. Use your voice. But I implore you to appreciate. Let us be an example that we stand together and that racism does not fly in our city. So now I'm going to leave you with a quote from James Elliott. We hate because we're taught to hate. We hate because we're ignorant. We're the product of ignorant people who have been taught ignorant things, which is that there are 4 to 5 different races. There's not 4 to 5 different races. There's only one race on the face of this earth, and we're all a member of it. We're all members of that race. We're all humans and deserve to be treated as such. So please, let us unite and accomplish this goal. So when I say black lives, y'all say matter. Black lives? Matter! Black lives? Matter! Black lives? Matter! I kind of can't hear you. Black lives? Matter! Thank you for your time, guys.
All right. It looks like, Cynthia, are you out there? Last call. She ended up getting very busy today, so she might have to make it to the next event, but instead we're just going to move right on ahead. Right now I have Reverend Dr. Andre Bennett. He's a board member of the organization ECHO, which is the Essex County Community Outreach Organization, and he's here to say a few words as a member, a leader of the community in this area. Thank you.
Peabody, are you with me? Peabody, are you with me?
Black Lives Matter.
Yes, they do.
This is a picture of my 17-year-old son that I worry every single day he steps out of the house. We live right here in Peabody, just down the street. And I come by with a simple message. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We can't breathe. We cannot breathe in a system that keeps suffocating us under the knees of injustice and inequality. We can't breathe. We can't breathe. In a system that tells us no matter what we do, because of the color of our skin, or we might have an accent, or we may look different, that we do not belong. We can't breathe. Then you hear all this mumbo jumbo about the police. We need a defunding of the police. We need demilitarization of the police. Because the system was designed to kill us. The system that says they're here to serve and to protect, they are beating and murdering us. Let me give you a little bit of statistics. Because you see, people love to say that we're calling for violence and we're calling for this and we want to do away with law and order. Crime has been on a steady decrease, a steady decline in the United States of America for 30 straight years. Massachusetts has seen a steady decline in crime and violence for 10 straight years. But there has been an increase in funding to police. Let me tell you why. In a Commonwealth with 6.893 million people, there are 18 billion years in this state. A state that has over 6 million people only has 18 individuals controlling all the wealth in this Commonwealth. And if that was not enough, over the last 2 months, since COVID-19, those 18 people have made over $15 billion. Crime and violence is not the problem. Capitalism is. Crime and violence is not the problem. Capitalism is the problem. Capitalism is the problem. No to capitalism. You see, they have to fund, increase funding, increase militarization of the police so that they can keep slavery, neo-slavery alive in this country. And we have come to say, after 400 years, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have done it all by the book. We have done everything by the book. Somebody just said earlier that police always happen to de-escalate and disarm our white counterparts with not one murder. But when it comes to a black man driving with his family, Philando Castile, got pulled over by a police officer, end up with 6 bullets in him for no reason. Enough is enough. Black Lives Matter. 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 The Florida shooter was apprehended, taken to McDonald's, bought and given a Big Mac meal, 2 Big Mac meals, after he murdered how many students? Good God Almighty! But George Floyd, with his hands behind him, cuffed to his back, laying on the floor, was murdered. Enough is enough! We ain't so great. We ain't so great here on the North Shore. We're not so great over here on the North Shore.
No, we're not.
We're not so great over here on the North Shore.
No, we're not.
You see, the Middleton jail, the county jail in Middleton, has more cases of COVID-19 than all of the jails in the Commonwealth combined. And the sheriff, the county sheriff, sits there with nothing said, nothing done. I personally wrote him a letter requesting a response, and nothing has happened. Black Lives Matter! So understand that this is not just a knee-jerk reaction. This is not just a feel-good moment. This is a set of people who for centuries and centuries have been oppressed and victimized, and we are tired of it. We are saying we're not taking one more. We're not doing it one more. Enough has become too much, and enough is enough. We are going to stand up for what we believe in. We're going to fight until we win. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. I have never seen anything like this. You took us from our motherland. You brought us here in shackles. We tore your soil. We built your wealth. We developed your land, and we can't partake of it. Well, if we can't partake of it, no one will. So I don't want to hear it anymore. The days of sitting down and having conversations only to walk out of the room and have another one of my black brother or my black sister murdered. Those days are long gone. Not one more. 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 Not one more! Not one more! Not one more! Not one more! Black Lives Matter. Our lives matter. And if we can't be free in this country, hear me when I say nobody will be free in this country. If we can't be free in this country, nobody will be freed in this country. There is nothing different between myself and my white counterpart. You see, I am a Baptist minister. I serve in a Baptist church in the American Baptist Association. And my white counterparts earn almost $2 to every $1 that I earn. Neo-slavery is what we're living in. Neo-slavery. Neo-slavery is what we're living in. Our labors being exploited. Our lives mean nothing. This man laid there on the ground for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He said, my neck hurts, my chest hurts, my back hurts, everything hurts. He said, please don't kill me. I can't breathe. Mama, I can't breathe. Mama, I can't breathe. We can't breathe when we have to drive on the road in Peabody and Salem and Beverly and Gloucester and Danvers and Wenham and Hamilton and all these towns on the North Shore. And if a police car pulls up behind us or starts driving behind us, our heart sits in our mouth because we don't know if we're going to be pulled over. We can't breathe in a system where it tells us that any moment I can be next just because I'm 6'2" with dreadlocks and I'm black. I can't breathe. That's all I say to us today. Injustice, as Dr. Martin Luther King says, injustice anywhere. It is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere. It is a threat to justice everywhere. And as Sister Ella Baker said, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mother's son is as important as the killing of white men, white mother's son. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Black lives matter! I leave you with this. Let today not be the end of an action, but rather let it be the beginning of a movement. Let it not be the end of an action, but the beginning of a movement, because we're going to transform the Essex County. We're going to transform the North Shore. We're going to transform every city and every town on the North Shore of Boston.
No peace!
led chants here by a member of the community here. Trina, if you're over there, could you please head over to this part of the table, and we're going to do some led chants for a little bit. And we're going to conclude tonight with an 8-minute and 40-second kneel of silence in honor of George Floyd. So stay tuned, and we'll get started with that very soon. Thank you.
Is she not here? Okay, that's fine.
When I say black lives, you say matter. Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! When I say no justice, you say no peace. No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! It's so important for us to recognize that the problems that we're talking about right now are not in a vacuum. This system was designed in order for these issues are part of the system. They work towards the system. Black men's bodies are used for free labor every single day in this country. The prison industrial complex is neo-slavery at its finest. Healthcare in this country is given to white, privileged elites way before it's given to the impoverished, way before it's given to the disenfranchised. This system is broken. Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! All right. Now I'd like to have us all take a knee. And Andre here is going to lead us into this kneel. Thank you.
Now understand this. This is not a short kneel. We're going to be kneeling for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And as we kneel, I don't just want us to kneel because it feels like the right thing to do in this moment. But I want us to think about every black, every brown, every trans, every queer person that you know that has suffered at the hand of this system that we have in America. Every person that you know in your life that might be black or brown or part of the LGBTQ plus community that runs the risk of suffering at the hands of the system that we have. And finally, I want you to think about this moment where we have been brought to by the inhumane murder of our brother George Floyd and the many others before him, the many known and unknown men and women of color that have been murdered and snuffed out and stolen from their societies, their families, their communities, because of the inhumane system, the oppressive system that is designed to take our very lives out of us. And I ask that if you can, as much as possible, observe silence within these 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Does somebody have a timer? Let's go.
Kneel with us! Kneel with us!
for safety and security of you folks. Are you gonna let me talk? You're not gonna let me talk? Everybody else was allowed to talk. Everybody else was allowed to speak. We're here for safety and security of you folks because we don't want anyone to get hurt. From my perspective, that's what happened to that individual, Mr. Lloyd. Was a, can I talk?
George Floyd, get it right.
What happened to Mr. Lloyd? What happened to Mr. Floyd was a horrendous crime committed by people that need to be prosecuted and put in jail. End of discussion. That was quickly spoken of from law enforcement. Because my position is you're mimicking that crime, and I'm not going to participate in mimicking that crime. You are mimicking that crime by doing that. Shoulder to shoulder. We understand shoulder to shoulder with you folks. So let's do these problems and come to conclusions.
Listen to me, guys. We are trying to replicate 8 minutes and 46 seconds of operation. Yes. We need to feel with our brother who was murdered by the police in Minneapolis.
And I agree with that. He was murdered by a police officer.
You don't even know his name.
See,
You don't know his name.
please, keep the eye on the prize. Keep your eyes on the prize.
And shoulder to shoulder with you
I'm
folks.
saying, bro, I'm saying, telling you. It don't mean nothing.
Please, let's continue what we're doing.
Lead by example. Take it easy with the people.
Listen up, please. Them taking a knee at this time means nothing. It's a tactic they are using to pacify us.
Not to you, to me.
It don't mean nothing. Because we are asking them. If they don't start with
It's to me
them,
too. You can't tell me how I think.
no, I'm
You
not.
can't.
I'm not.
I'm just saying.
I'm not going to say. What I have seen in Boston, I've seen in other cities, the police taking a knee, they've done so out of fear to try to pacify the crowds and keep them calm. And it meant nothing to them. It might mean everything to us, but it means nothing to them when they're forced to do it.
Guys.
So this is
I want to address Chief and the police department and white America. This is a textbook of what not to do. You don't, with all due respect to you, sir, and to your team, you do not come and stand before a people that is hurting and tell them what not to do or what to do. You do not tell a people what they are mimicking or what they're not mimicking. Let us lead. For 400 years we have been led by you, and we're saying in this moment, let us lead. It is okay if we're saying take a knee, and you don't want to take a knee. And don't come down here and tell us what not to do. People are feeling, and we're saying do not tell us what to do and what not to do. We are able to think, to feel, and to express for ourselves. Black intelligence.
I dare you. Come over here. the timer still on?
We should restart it. We should restart it.
We're gonna take this.
Okay, we're gonna take a kneel.
We're gonna take a kneel. We're gonna keep kneeling. And if you want to call for them to kneel, you have the right to call for them to kneel. That's what they do. That's a different thing if they choose to do it. Because in them not responding to our call, that is telling us exactly what. Yes, sir. Let us not get distracted. Let us not allow the narrative to shift. This is not about being unruly or disruptive. This is about... And let us not be distracted by it. Keep going. Yes, yes.
Okay, we are doing this for George Floyd. You can say whatever you want, but keep your knee down. And we're gonna start 8 minutes and 46 seconds for George Floyd.
Get your signs up. Get your signs up. Everyone, get your signs up. You gotta get them up. Love this, yo. Love this. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
I love you. I love you all for showing up here today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I can't breathe. Mama! Mama, help!
Mama, help!
You see how long it's 8 minutes and 26 seconds? It felt like eternity.
Stay down! If you're white like me, stay down!
It felt like eternity.
We're sorry for our ignorant brothers and sisters!
Woo!
We love you! We see you! And this must end! No, we're all brothers. There was one person!
Let this kneel be for all the black people that have been under police brutality, that have not had justice. Because all our lives matter. Black lives matter. We matter. And enough is enough.
Enough is enough, and Black Lives Matter. And the reason why I say it seemed like eternity, because for George Floyd, it was eternity. He never got up like all of us. 2 weeks ago, our country reached a milestone that nobody on earth wants it. Over 100,000 of our brothers and sisters everywhere we lost to a pandemic. We were mourning, we were hurt. And in the middle of all of this, we all saw a murder on live TV of a black man who didn't do much except for his color. It drove a lot of us over the edge. We went crazy. We can't accept it. It's not us. But then my faith reminded me, out of the darkest nights comes the dawn, and the sun will rise. So for me, I hope, and for all of us, we will rise. For our LGBTQA+ community, we will rise. For our Jewish families, we will rise. For our immigrants, documented or undocumented, we will rise. For our Muslim families, we will rise. For Trayvon Martin, we will rise. For Mike Brown, we will rise. For Breonna Taylor, we will rise. For Ahmaud Arbery, we will rise. And George Floyd, our brother, and to all of them, they will not die in vain. We will rise for them and send their spirit home. Everybody is important and matters. But today, at this moment, Black Lives Matter. No evil should kill any other black person. What? Woman, man, child. Black Lives Matter. Today we are here because we believe in it. And today we are here because we're going to promise. I'm going to promise my brother Andre and his son. I'm going to rise for them. And Black Lives Matter. 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 Black Lives Matter.
Thank you to all of our speakers today. Thank you to all of you for coming out. We will be back. We will be back. This is not a one-time thing. We have started something and we will finish it. Now, this concludes our event for today, and what I will be asking of you is to disperse quickly and peacefully. By doing this, we can ensure that if anything does happen, it will not have been us. Get home safely. and then upload your pictures. To anyone who wants to get involved in this movement, you can find me on Facebook. I encourage you to message me. Please, we are trying to build a coalition here in this city, and we want it to be something bigger than ourselves. I am here to listen to this community because no one was listening. Someone had to step up to that role, and here we all are. Thank you so much for coming here.
Bye.